What's happening, cuz?
What's going on?
Morning. We getting kicking here. I know we're a man down today. Mr. Stasek fighting nasty little cold. So hope he gets to feeling better.
Right on.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Whatever's on your mind, whatever questions, things you guys are wrestling with. I know we kind of come in with the intent around agent attraction. However, we can jump into production. We can jump into whatever's on your mind, anything that you guys are wrestling with, any ideas, anything that you want to kind of communicate or talk through. We are here for you to do that. If you're new to the call, welcome. It's kind of our Honey Badger agent attraction Q&A. So open to whatever's on your mind. The way this hour is structured, we've got about half an hour before the Honey Badger app team jumps in with us, and they kind of walk through the app, training, guidance, things that you guys might be wrestling with, anything that they can help. So open it up for any thoughts or any questions. I know we do have some things coming up in the calendar. We've got obviously the next big big event is going to be Build.
Where I don't have good service.
We're going to have quite a bit of Honey Badgers on stage down in San Antonio, so should be pretty epic as always.
Dylan, we have an EXP con coming up in Canada, in Vancouver, first week in September, basically. Are we going to have any kind of presence at that event? It's all Canadian event.
Good question.
No.
What are the dates for that, Kevin?
Yeah. No.
And I'll look it up for you here.
I believe it's the 6th and 8th of September in Vancouver.
Okay.
That was scheduled for.
It's the same. That's the same dates as Nick's deal in Hollywood.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have that on the agenda. I'm glad you brought it up. Whatever we can do to support it, obviously we want to do that. But I don't currently have anything. It wasn't on my radar, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I didn't even know anything about it until yesterday on the leaders call. It was somebody had mentioned it.
Right.
It's interesting. So the EXP con there in Canada in the beginning of September, and then EXP con back down in Vegas less than 30 days later.
Yeah.
So I don't know that they have a lineup yet.
I would try to throw your name in the hat for that too. I'm sure they're going to be looking for speakers.
Yeah, I'm not really that interested in speaking out, to be honest with you. I am interested in knowing what, I think they're still lining it up, so I'm a little concerned at this point what kind of presence they're going to have. I think they said they were trying to get Brent Gove to come there. You guys got something else going on at that time then?
Yeah, a book promotion deal with Nick Nanton that's in Hollywood.
Those are the exact dates, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Nope. Just curious. Just wondering what that's going to look like. I hope they don't flop it, but I've got a lot of people willing to go to it. I don't know whether I'm making a mistake. Maybe I should have been targeting Vegas. Be more impressive.
I would still try to get people there. I don't foresee them doing this and not delivering on the value. I mean,
yeah.
And, I think you can it'll be easy to get people to that one, but then, you're always promoting the next event after that. So anybody that doesn't come to that, trying to get them to Vegas.
Yeah,
Yep, good point. Yeah.
that's a great point. Great point. Because anything that you're seeing, kind of red flags or consistency in conversations coming up, I know, we keep, want to keep sharing things that we're seeing or hearing. Anything on your end, on your radar through all the conversations you're having that kind of seeing a theme right now?
Still the same, agents are looking for solutions, to get from their A to their B. That's every call I get on, it's identifying where they're at, where they're trying to go, and then, helping align with how we can help them get there.
Yeah.
For me, I've been leaning heavily on lead generation and KV Core as the solution. And providing, a little more support in getting them up and going. That's been kind of where our focus has been all year is, personal recruits and helping them solve whatever problem they have. Certainly nothing is really, groundbreakingly changed. I mean, it's the same problem agents have always had, where they're at, where they're trying to go. They don't have the right tools, training, resources, support to get there. And just identifying how we can help them do that, doing the math for them, showing them it's going to be cheaper to be at EXP and moving them over. That's been every call. I've done a lot of calls, not so much the last week because I've been traveling, but every single day before that has been filled with calls that are focused around production.
Yeah, I 100%. And I think too, around the production, but also even around, pillars. And so even talking to, team leaders that have teams, and you think through, the last few years, the skill set of a team member is different than the skill set required today. And, things were coming so fast and furious. And, if you could have a conversation and ask a couple questions and then just kind of go through the motions. But the details, I think, were not quite where they really have to be in order to thrive, right? Not just survive, but really thrive and buck the trend. And I know that was always an important metric for us was, hey, where's the market at? Where are we at? Are we just riding the curve? So if the market drops, are we at a threat to ride it all the way back down as well? Or are we doing the things that's going to buck, the roller coaster? And that's kind of where, our attention, our training, our focus and everything went. And just a lot of people don't think that way. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that I've seen. But I think really, and this is on a production side and speaking to team leads and kind of making sure we're kind of staying diversified a little bit in those lead generation pillars. I know, like you said, you've been really focused on, the online lead gen demand, utilizing KV Core, utilizing the technology. I believe that's one key pillar. That was always one of ours. And either through a Tiger Leads or through a Boomtown or through a Commissions Inc. or now with the KV Core, I think that's one key pillar. And something I hadn't even thrown this back at you, cuz thinking about, and it's fun to work with some of the team leads that have that get it, that model, that kind of making sure that they have a strong foundation. And Kyle, I know one that we're still tugging on hard to get over, but Kyle Davis. And, he's got a strong presence, like ours was guaranteed sell. So you think about everything that we did from a branding perspective was guaranteed sell. We went into a neighborhood, guaranteed sell. We were online, guaranteed sell. Everything was guaranteed sell. I mean, the wraps were guaranteed sell, signs guaranteed sell, everything just staying a consistent message. We still had a strong online presence for a lead capture system like what you're really committed to and focused on, which you should be. I mean, for those of you that don't know, when Tiger Leads hit the scene, that was, Howard Tager, that was his he was the pioneer at that time. And what was it, only 100 agents in the country as he was kind of vetting the process out. And, you know, we were at the forefront of that, being one of the 100 and really testing it out. So you go back to, you know, for the last 25 years, really in the online lead gen space. So when, you know, Jay starts to talk about the principles there, everybody should pay attention, right? And really listen. But then looking at that third key pillar, and I think, you know, really making sure you're having a strong presence. And so ours was guaranteed sell. Ours was online lead gen, demand system, some sorts. But then ours was the raving fan. And you look at what Kyle's done, and he modeled Andrew Gaydosh to the T, right? Andrew drew the blue cooler, and he creates that presence and being able to create the amplification with getting the coolers out. Well, what season is it right now? It's pool and lake season. And so Kyle has Fred, right? Fred, the red cooler.
Mhm.
And he just upped the brand new coolers. It's gangster. And I'm like, you know what you should be doing right now? I said, you should be getting these new coolers out to your top 20 clients. You should be, as you bring an agent into your team that has some expertise, that has done deals, you give them coolers to go give to their past clients. Now you're growing your past client database, not through their transactions, but you're bringing in their other transactions clients that they've dealt with prior to coming to your team. And you're doing things like that to help grow that social amplification. And it was like I said on the leaders call yesterday, Sunday, I haven't gone down the Gary Vee rabbit hole in a while, and ended up going down the rabbit hole and caught one of the reels where he was talking about, you know, kind of what he called, you know, the Taylor Swift effect. And it was like, you know, you couldn't put it financially never made sense for her to just, when people were like, you should come sing at my wedding, and she would pop in and sing at weddings. Like he said, the math on that doesn't make sense, right? If you step back for a second and be like, how much money she makes, but for her to just pop in to weddings, like financially doesn't make sense. However, the amplification in the messaging and the wildfire that spreads from doing that, he goes, you can't put a price on that. And so it just made me started to think like how we talk about, you know, sometimes you have to do things that don't scale, getting to the events, getting there, adding value, popping in on podcasts, you know, going to speak on stages that maybe you don't get compensated for, but however, you have that amplification. And if you connect with one or two people, you can't put a price on that. And it's just a good reminder of, you know, where are we at in our businesses? And those are principles, right? If you're running a coaching organization, if you're selling snow cones, like it doesn't matter. What we're talking about is you got a strong offer to, in this case, to sellers. You got a strong message to buyers. And then you're loving on the people that love you and know you, that will sing your praises the most, and building your foundation from that, from those three things. And I've challenged Kyle because I was thinking about this, and I was like, could we do $1 million in revenue from each one of those pillars? Or if we had to do $1 million in revenue from each one of those pillars, how would we do it? And so I got his wheels turning, and I think it's just good from a team leader perspective to stay strategic, to be thinking about, you know, things outside of the norm, things that might not scale, and really, you know, just make sure you're being present and adding value, and like you said, helping people get from A to B.
John, I got an idea. I just want to, and I'm just thinking out loud, but from my perspective, yeah, it's great to help everyone generate leads. And I mean, there's a lot of help out there with lead generation. And in fact, there's easy buttons where, you know, with KV Core or other services, you just got to pick the right one, and you can start getting fairly decent leads coming in at fairly, yeah, maybe they're more expensive because you're not doing it yourself, but even if you push the easy button, you're getting leads coming in. Where I see the challenge is, quite frankly, the follow-up skill is where, like, people can have all the leads coming in the world, and if they don't follow up with it correctly, they're going to think the leads suck, and the reality is they suck.
Mhm.
And And I think the biggest, if I was to say, what's the biggest skill we could teach to move the needle forward for production, it probably wouldn't be lead generation. It would be handling the leads.
I
And
agree. Two things.
teaching them to handle the leads. And
I agree.
not just teaching them best practices. You know, we all know what those are and they could probably articulate them, but actually role playing. So my idea would be to have a role play session that people, you know, once a week for an hour, doesn't have to be, you know, massive, and where people can sign in, and those with enough balls to try and get better can volunteer to role play, and the other ones that don't volunteer can at least listen. And I think that is something that we could offer that would actually move the needle forward.
Mm-hmm. You're singing our tune right there. You know, it's, you know, part of the challenge that, part of the challenge I have is like, if you go back and you want to try to make every, you know, it's like, you know, the Will Smith, you know, you don't go out to build a wall, you lay one brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid, and soon you will have a wall, right? And you know, we always come back to like the first chapter of every book, you know, or any training that we would ever even begin would be with mindset. Like it all starts with having the right mindset and having the right knowledge and understanding that you can accomplish more, do more, you know, have more. And then, you know, we were debating, actually it was me and Braden, we were going to play golf and we were just talking through it. It's like every single agent we would take through an exercise on clarity and mindset. It's the reason why our boot camp starts with it. You know, it's why John teaches it right out of the gate, because you can't get to some place if you don't understand where you're at, where you're trying to go. And then, you know, it's the skills. You're right. So like, if you've ever watched, you know, the analogy I always use in selling coaching and training and selling, you know, scripting and selling agents on that, if you're selling products like that, it's kind of like the insanity offer that, you know, plays on, you know, on TV, the Sean T, you know, they're showing these crazy workouts of you doing all this stuff. Like anybody who buys that knows they're going to have to work out. Nobody sends that back and says, hey, I didn't realize it was going to be this hard. Right. But real estate agents aren't, you know, they didn't buy into, hey, I'm going to have to learn this skill and I'm going to have to train really hard to get really good so that whenever I do get leads, I can actually convert and, you know, and I understand sales skills, people skills, right? And so, you know, everything we created, and in fact, I was going through this because we're kind of revamping everything as we bring someone on in order to make them successful. And over the years, as we would do boot camp, you know, we would add things to it. And then we would like, you know what, we're going to skip this section. You know, it's good stuff, but we're going to skip it because this stuff's better. Right. So we would take some stuff out, but in the actual binder is everything you possibly could learn about selling skills, people skills, building rapport, like all of everything. Right. The problem is not everybody has a gap in some of those certain skills they have. Some of them, they have enough of them that they could be successful if they had just had leads. But at the end of the day, every agent should be trained like a Navy SEAL on sales skills and people skills, period. And they should be role playing and they should be doing all these things, but not every agent is going to do it, right? Like, you know, is no matter how great we've created the training around it, not everyone's going to go through it and become masterful at sales. And so like, the debate, and I don't know exactly what's right. I think, you know, I think they should all be trained before they have leads, but some of them can learn and some of them have enough people and sales skills to be successful if you just get them leads, right? And so that's why we have some agents having some success early on, but as a part of, you know, hey, we're going to turn the leads on. And by the way, at the same time, you should be going through for the next 90 days, becoming the most skilled salesperson on the phone you could possibly be, which should include role play. And it should include, you know, getting your CHBA and getting, you know, going through that entire course. And so that's, you know, but, you know, that's just, it's been a huge topic of conversation. We want to make it as perfect as we can, where those modules are really taking them and getting them skilled. But there is an element of, you know, you have to, you know, even if, you know, somebody started calling FSBOs and expireds today, you're going to fail a whole bunch of times if you even get face to face, not only on the calls, but when you get face to face and you've never given a presentation before. And so like there really are a lot of things you have to be masterful at in order to be successful in real estate. And it is repetition. You just have to do it a bunch of times before you're going to get better. And what I've found is that most people aren't willing to go through all of that pain to get, to become successful. And, I don't know how you convince them that that's what it's going to take, or convince them that that's the right path that they need to take, but people want to cut corners.
So I think it's what I'm hearing is, and I agree with you, by the way, like, do we have, how many honey badgers do we have? Like 13,000 now or something? Yeah. So, I'll bet if you put on a role play clinic once a week, I mean, the numbers would be dismal compared to the fact that we have 13,000 honey badgers.
Right.
And I think it's twofold. One, I think the problem is that people think they're okay at speaking to leads. That's the first problem, when they actually suck. So I think the first bit has to be selling that. Listen, the most important skill you can have is speaking to a lead, whether it be probably an online generated lead, or whether or not you meet somebody, or even a door knock. It is the number one skill you can have. So I think there would have to be some selling around that point. Number one, that listen, we can hit an easy button, we can generate leads, we can get that done. Even if you're not great with computers. But the one thing that's going to make or break you is going to be how you speak, whether you can establish motivation and timing, whether or not you can make a proper compelling offer once you establish.
Right.
Can you determine, are they a buyer or a seller, right? Like, even make the correct offer. And I think we would have to have some training to show, if you have this skill alone, you're going to, and you implement it, you're going to be successful. But if you don't practice on this one thing, you're not. So I think there'd be two parts to this. Convincing people that they suck at it because they probably don't think they do.
Right.
And then having an offer where it's not necessarily a module they go in on their own. It's a 1 hour, once a week role play session with the best possible people we can get on there that really know what they're doing, targeting a standard script that, we have for honey badgers, being, this is how we establish motivation and timing. This is how we figure out who they are. This is the offer that we make, and something that they can memorize, and something we can convince people to start. If you're so good, go role play on there and show us how good you are.
Right.
And I bet you they won't have the balls to do it. Right. And those who do have the balls to do it will be probably getting an eye opener. But this is why we can generate them all the leads in the world, and they're still having a hard time. And I think, other than a module, I think role play session once a week that we can invite them to, maybe even use that to invite people who aren't honey badgers to, because if they attend that weekly, I think they would see a lot of value in that. And maybe we could use that as a value attract, something to invite them to. Just an idea.
Yeah, no, I love it. We got, and the guy that's the best in the world at it that I know is Wally Bressler. I mean, he's done role play calls for us in all our trainings for years, even before we had, the coaching organization. He was doing role play calls with us and our teams. And so he's world-class at it. But that's something we could easily set up. I'll get with Wally and see what his thoughts are, but we could set up, we need a universal call script that we all agree is the most universal the basis of, establishing motivation and timing, and what's the primary offer you're going to make. And there's a little variation of, the type of lead it is and this kind of thing. But I think if we just keep it simple, that's going to be something that we can definitely provide. And I think you're right. I think most people don't buy into the philosophy. And I think that there's going to have to be some selling around the philosophy that if you want to be world-class, in real estate, then you have to be world class at connecting with individuals and being able to, understand the anatomy of a sales call and make an offer at the end of that call. Because I think a lot of the agents, and just my personal experience with just recently with agents that are newer that don't have sales skills, they don't even know to make an offer. They're not, they don't even know to ask for the business. There's just, selling skills that they've never had to learn. And so, I think getting them bought in that, hey, becoming a Navy SEAL and highly skilled at this process is going to be the number one thing that'll give them confidence too, by the way, which is a lot of them, their reluctancy is, they don't know what they don't know, and they're a little afraid to, because they don't know what to do. But it's certainly a confidence builder when somebody finally says yes. You're like, oh my God, these leads don't suck. I think I can do this, right? So I'm with you on that. I think that's at the basis of success in real estate. It's one of the things that, as I started to analyze it, was like I went through a lot of sales training, like at a really young age, and I didn't realize at the time that how valuable it was, and I didn't realize how much other people haven't done of it, right? And so, like, when I'm seeing some of these agents not having success, I'm like, how are they not having success? But going back to the 10,000 hours, man, I put in my 10,000 hours, and that's it's second nature to me. But to I think most agents, it is absolutely foreign.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great point.
I think it is. It is such a great point. And we already have the time in the calendar. I think it's just kind of tweaking that time, because Wally does the training calls every Thursday at noon Eastern. I mean, and what does he have? 25 people, 13,000 honey badgers, 25 people. And so, he's the best of the best. Like, he's like world class.
Yeah,
I mean, he's forgotten more than what most people will ever learn. And so with Wally in that time, and I mean, Wally and I did 3 calls a week for 4 years straight. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We didn't miss for 4 years straight. Tuesday was CHSA, Wednesday was CHBA, Thursday was role play. Like, him and I, 4 years straight, never missed a call, never missed a week. And, those that were consistently on there were the ones that we would see just on the rocket ship. And Kevin, you're so right. It's the biggest void.
And that's why I say, I think this service, it could be one of our unique selling propositions for honey badgers, because one, I don't hear anybody talking about it or pitching it, but our sales we would have to sell it to honey badgers and sell it to others that want to be successful in real estate. Because if we just have a role play session, we say, I don't think we're going to get them. I think we literally, and I don't think it's a stretch to say, you know what, man, there's one skill you need to have, and we teach it, and at a high level, a role play every week. And if you're failing in real estate, or you're not where you are in real estate, it's because you don't have this one skill. And I don't know what the sale, but we would have to pitch it hard. So because, and it would be true. Like, I bet I could role play with 100 honey badgers, and they wouldn't just mess it up. They'd fucking like, it'd be just destroyed. Right. And that's probably what's happening with, 95% of the leads that all honey badgers are generating are just being completely pissed away. And even if they call them back, they're completely blowing it, and they don't know they're blowing it. So there'd have to be an education process through, if you think you're good at this, come and show us.
Yeah.
Or if you think you're good at this and you haven't spent, months, 1,000 hours training on it, I bet you suck.
Right.
So don't think, unless you can say you've been practicing it, unless you have a premeditated offer to make a seller, a premeditated offer to make a buyer, a combination offer for a buyer and seller, and or a stay in touch offer, because those would be the 4 offers. Once you ask the appropriate questions,
right,
which probably not asking. So like even determining what they are to make the proper offer. But I bet we could, if we threw somebody out right now and said, okay, make me this offer, they wouldn't be able to do it.
Right.
If we said, what questions do you need to ask? They wouldn't be able to ask appropriate questions. I think it's a massive gap. I think, and a lot of people have, and the worst part of all is they probably think they're okay at it, right? And, or they're doing okay, or they don't recognize the deficiency. And they certainly don't recognize that this one skill is the beginning of everything. Yeah, could we talk about what are you going to say at the buyer meeting once you book it? Sure, we could. But are they even getting there? Are we going to say what you say at the seller meeting? Sure, we could. But they're not even getting to that point. Like, that's the cart before the horse. Let's figure out how we get you a bunch of appointments first. And if you don't want to show up for this training, I don't think we can help them.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's the training you really got to show up for. Hey,
Yep.
hit the easy button for KV Core, get some leads coming in. But you know what we're all going to be told? We're going to be told the leads suck. And they don't. It's just they suck. Or they're not, their best practices suck. Or I think we really, if we sold that hard, I think we would be bang on. This is the most important skill you need. And probabilities are you don't have it.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we do something that's quantitative, that actually moves the needle. And like you said, the people that showed up on the role plays are the ones that succeeded.
Yeah.
I see that being very real. And I think it would be, I don't know that anybody else is doing it. And I think if a group, everybody's about maybe a little bit, like, yeah, it's good to be about lead generation, but maybe, like you look at the Wolf Pack, they're all about social media and lead gen. That's all they talk about is lead gen. Man, if we went role playing, and then we could follow it up with, that would be the most important thing, but we could follow it up with if we wanted to, the next most important thing would be the meeting, the buyer meeting. What do we do there? What do we say? How are we going to compel them to work with us above and beyond all the other options they have out there, including agents that are willing to work for free? And that could be the follow-up to it. But I would say start off by, let's get them appointments by training them and offering a role play session that's taught by a rock star, and we can use it to invite to. I think that's where they're going to see the value, and I don't think anybody else is doing it. But anyways, I know we got to get somewhere else. So
Love it. No, we're on that. Well, I'll get with Wally and we'll get that set up and get a structure for it going. I love it.
Love it. Savannah, what's up?
Hi guys. Hello. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. What goodness do you have for us today?
My goodness that I bring is teaching you guys how to add contacts and organize them in your app. That sound good to you guys?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. I'll run through. Is there newer people? People who
Always.
are new to
Should
the
be,
office?
yeah.
Always.
It's always a mix of new people and some of the same, some new.
I love it. I love it. New people, you're like the heartbeat of what you guys do, right? So if you don't have this app that I'm going to show you, where can they get it? So you guys, Honey Badger Nation.
HoneyBadgerNation.com is go-to for everything, all resources, all the training, everything is there.
Awesome. So go there, get this app. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. For those of you who don't know me, I come from a network marketing background. So I've built a large team over the past 4 years. So I use this app every day for my own personal use, but I love it. It's given me the most traction I've ever had in attracting people to a certain business model. It's incredible. So you could think of it as it's a database. You're building your own database, and I'm going to show you guys how to add contacts multiple different ways. So our difficulties that we look to solve is just being prepared to meet people efficiently and quickly and have a system behind it. It's kind of challenging, Honestly, I used to write things down on paper and then I'd lose them and I was frustrated. Not knowing where you met people, not having notes on them, forgetting, like I remember I used to have lists of people, okay, I have to make 5 calls today, to like schedule one-on-ones with people to show them our business, whatever. Because they were like good, solid conversations I had with people and they were like open to learning, you know, and I could not remember for the life of me where I met them. I had no idea who they were, and so that's awkward. You know, it's like I'm calling you and I don't even remember who you are. Can't even put a face to the name, but that's yeah, we should probably fix that. And no idea who has become a hot lead, and we have some really cool technology that watches when people are engaging with content, whether it's from emails, whether it's from clicking on links you've sent them in the past, and so you know as soon as they're hot instead of cold. So our solution, we have a couple different ways you can collect contacts and get them into your app. From if you posted a survey to social media and someone filled out that survey and then you got a new contact in your app, you get a notification saying someone filled out your survey, here's their contact information, you can follow up with them from there. Referral pages, your digital business card, you can straight up just hand someone your phone. We have a digital business card with a QR code, so someone can scan your QR code. It's amazing. It's awesome. I know people who pay monthly fees that are more than Rapid Funnel for each one of those type of tools. And they don't work together. So it's just a no-brainer. Like everything is in one spot. We have 5-star label system. So you can give, let's say another agent that you're talking to or someone who wants to get into the industry, you can kind of gauge them. So you remember how serious they seemed, how qualified or how you felt about the interaction. Give them a 1 out of 5-star rate. And then you can label them. And it's a very, very important thing. I'll show you guys labeling your contacts to keep them organized, because you can strategically use your contact list. You can target certain audiences based off of your labels and a contact journey and notes on that specific contact, which is really, really important, like I was saying. And then also our hot prospect algorithm is working behind the scenes on each contact, keeping track of their activity based off of what they're engaging with. So you can see they like earn points, I'll show you, but then they end up in this hot prospect list. So if you had 5 minutes to go and put effort towards expanding your business in this way, I would say just go to your hot list and see who's there, and then that's who you should be following up with. If you had 5 minutes to put towards an income producing activity, your hot list is your best friend. So we're just going to jump right in. The app kind of speaks for itself. Your leaders have put an incredible amount of effort and thought into putting this together. So I see a lot of other companies' apps, and you guys have kicked it out of the ballpark. Like it's incredible. So you don't have to be an expert. It's not designed where you need to know everything. You just follow the steps and it's amazing. But today we're just going to get contacts in the app. That's the first goal. The quickest, easiest way is right here, this plus person button. Boom. Okay. This is like if I was in a coffee shop and I met someone and we had an awesome conversation, we both got our coffee and we're still standing in the coffee shop. I'd be like, you know, I'd love to stay in touch. And I would straight up pull up my app, push the button and hand them my phone and they could fill it out. So that's one way. Or if you had texted them or whatever, you got their business card and you wanted to text them, I would text them and then come and add their contact information into your app. But my favorite part, I'm not going to fill it all in just for the sake of time, but obviously your name, number, email. Email is really important. If you have the time, just put their email in, because that unlocks email campaigns. So that's very important. If you don't have their email, you can't email them anything. So just take a second, get their email. Notes. How many people have read How to Win Friends and Influence People? Do you guys know this book? That's like the people skills Bible. If you suck at talking to people, go read that book. But they talk about remembering what's important to people, because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? So when I was forgetting who people are, this has solved that issue. Keeping detailed notes about a person, that's a game changer. That makes you stand out above all of the other people are trying to grab people's attention because you actually remember what their dog's name is, where they grew up, what's important to them, what their favorite latte is. Like, it's important. And then right here, this is a drop down feature. It's really easy to miss this part. So if you're not paying attention, there's a drop down arrow right here. Okay, da, da, da. Boom. This is where your labels live. So you want to make sure you're labeling your people. So, and I'll teach you why in another training. There's email broadcast features and you can sort your contacts. So say there was a, what do you guys call your event that you invite people into, like outside agents into? I can't remember. It's a mastermind, mentor, Jay or John, help me out.
We invite them to the Expert Mentor Series, any of the live trainings or anything that we can.
Perfect. So let's say you're looking ahead in your calendar and there was an event and you're like, oh my gosh, this would be perfect for this group of people. Boom, then you filter through your contacts and then you have 5 people labeled this one specific thing. Let's say they're Keller Williams. Okay, and then you've connected with 5 Keller Williams people in the past. And then you wanted to connect with those people. And so you save yourself a whole bunch of time from digging through contacts if you just label them. So label, very important. You can also, this is the 5-star. So some people do it different. I like to just gauge how I felt about the conversation, the interaction, how serious they felt. And then there's different dates. If there was like an anniversary or birthday you wanted to remember, you could put that here. So that's like the original way to add contacts. But let's say you wanted to import people that you already had in your phone, then you can come here, this import button up here, and this pulls up all of your contacts from your phone. So just for the sake of an example, I will import oh, it already exists. No, let's see. So we'll import Michaela. So it pulls in her name, it pulls in any contact information you have, and continue. And then this is one of my favorite parts because I would forget, I'd let people fall through the cracks and I would just forget about people. And I put in effort meeting people and going and finding people, and then I'd forget about them. It's kind of silly. You really shoot yourself in the foot. So you can schedule a follow-up. So let's say I want to remember to follow up with Michaela. She said she's out of town until next week. So I'm going to follow up with her next week. I'm going to set a time because she said evenings work best. So 5:44, perfect. And so I'm going to get a notification from my app. And then I could also add it to my device calendar. So if you use Apple Calendar, Google Calendar, you can put it there. So now I have Michaela in my contacts, and this is your whole list of contacts. So you are building a base of contacts. That's essentially what you're doing when you're out, when you're in this industry. The more people you know, like you're leveraging your network, right? So this is this is your best friend, seriously. You can filter up here. This is where you can filter and sort. That's a whole other training. There is another way to add contacts. If you went to my.rapidfunnel.com, so you log in to your RapidFunnel account online, you can import a CSV file. So if you had a spreadsheet, if you exported it from another platform or email database or whatever, if you're bringing in outside contacts that you wanted to use our tech for, you can import spreadsheets like that. So, and it's relatively simple. It takes you a little bit to do that, but you just got to log in my.rapidfunnel.com. Okay, I have a challenge for you guys. Everyone that's new, and even all of you people that have seen my face before, you all can go and add 5 new contacts and label them, star them, and then schedule follow-ups with each one of those people. And then in your follow-ups, you can make a note of what you intend to follow up on. Maybe it's sending a survey, maybe it's giving them a quick phone call, maybe it's sending them a text to say, hey man, we should connect. However you guys do things, like 5 contacts, 5 people that you intend to make an exposure to or follow up with. We also, this is something new, we have a free, this is like our CEO Patrick, he's been in network marketing for over, I think it's like 25 years. He's incredible. He's one of the most successful people I know. He put together this book on helping you reach your goals. So if you leave a review on the app, you get this free resource. It's worth a lot of money, but he's like, I want to give it away for free. So it just helps you map out identify where your goals are and how you can get there, just to eliminate the noise. But that in the next week, we're going to talk about making exposures. So connecting the dots even further. So we're going to walk you through step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. How do you get your story exposed to people? How do you tell people about the incredible opportunity you guys have with EXP? And I'll show you how to do that next week. So that's all I got for you guys. Any questions?
Awesome.
Awesome.
Good job, as usual.
Thank you. Awesome. I'll see you guys next week.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
Cool.
All right, guys.
All right, guys.
Good week.
Cool.
Thank
See ya. Thanks.